Hi, my name's Penny and this is my research poster for my management dissertation, and it's titled Are Management Styles a Direct Impact on Employee Satisfaction? A critical analysis of Dumfries Retail Store's employees' motivation, morale and well-being. First topic is introduction. This report is going to understand if a management style is directly linked to employee satisfaction. The investigation will focus on the Dumfries branch of a high street retail store, and under satisfaction, the report will explore employee motivation, morale and well-being in correlation with the management style within the store. The retail sector is a huge employer within the UK, employing 2.9 million people, and the retail chain this investigation is focusing on has 959 stores throughout the UK. This is an enormous population, so analysing the Dumfries store in detail will allow the report to be used by numerous different retail stores to help understand their management style and the major impacts it has upon employees. Due to the current pandemic and pressure at an all-time high, it's important employees are still feeling satisfied within their work environment. Not only can this report be an interest to the huge population involved within the retail area, but the author is a current employee within the Dumfries branch and would like to conduct this research on behalf of themselves and the 80 other employees within the Dumfries store. Next is aims and objectives. Aims of this research report is to understand if a management style within the Dumfries retail store directly impacts employees' motivation, morale and well-being. For the aim to be completed, 4 objectives are set in shaping a solid conclusion. 1. Undertake a literature review and critically analyze the current literature in understanding different leadership styles and the impact from an outside perspective. 2. Conduct primary research to understand the Dumfries store manager's management style, why it was chosen and why it's effective. And 3. Carry out a second piece of primary research in analysing how Dumfries store employees feel about the management style they are being directed under and how it affects their satisfaction. And finally, 4. Analyse the findings from the investigation and provide recommendations for future research projects. Next is the literature review. Academic journals will add a lot more context and depth to the overall conclusion of the report. Academic journals are one of the most reliable sources of secondary research, as all journals are peer-reviewed by fellow professions in the sector before being published. Out there's a lot of journals produced around the retail sector or satisfaction, but not a lot of journals that directly relate to the report hypothesis. Some journals look at employee satisfaction but are not based around the retail sector or with even in the UK. After reading numerous articles, there is a clear gap in the academic literature produced, and this research will add a more refined area of knowledge to the overall sector. The first journal reviewed is titled The Relationships Among Leadership Styles, Communication Skills and Employee Satisfaction, a study on equal employment opportunity in leadership. This academic journal does not directly relate to the hypothesis, but that defines a large gap in the literature on the subject. This journal does cover some key principles in the report and will fully aid in adding depth to the overall conclusion and analysis. Also, this journal is very recent, published in 2018, so all the data will be current and relevant. This journal investigates the connection between management styles, communication skills, and employee satisfaction. Even though this journal does not look at the retail market, it covers the same issue, connection between management styles and employee satisfaction. The data analysed from this will still add valued information in testing the hypothesis. The way the primary research was conducted was administrating a survey to 200 employees at an Islamic university. This runs in line with the presentation plan to be conducted within this own report, as it can receive the knowledge firsthand. After analysing the results produced from the survey, it is apparent the management style and communication skills have a strong impact upon employee satisfaction. Reading further into this journal, it identifies how an interview with a business manager would add valuable evidence to the analysis. This own report will carry out both interview and survey to test the hypothesis. This journal helps to add more in-depth information for for the conclusions supporting the hypothesis of the report. The next journal reviewed is titled Leadership Styles for Employees, Empowerment Malaysian Retail Industry. This article is one of the most recent ones, published also in 2018. This journal investigates indirect and non-direct effect on business employees. This article mentions how transformational management style has been seen to improve employee satisfaction overall in comparison to transactional management style, which reflects negatively on employee satisfaction, not only short-term but has long-term impacts as well. The report's primary research was based around a survey to receive information straight from whom it involves. This report being produced is also a survey in conjunction with an interview for the same reason, to receive first-hand responses and to create the best overall information in supporting the hypothesis. The key aim of the academic journal was to understand what leadership styles had the most positive impact on employees' empowerment in the Malaysian retail sector. After reading through the research conducted, the results of the study are clear that transformational management style in conjunction with laissez-faire has an overall positive impact on employee satisfaction for the Malaysian sector. But the transformational style has a greater productivity than the laissez-faire in relation to the results. After reviewing this journal, the data collected throughout this supports the hypothesis that a management style has an impact on employee motivation, morale and well-being, and will add further valuable evidence to the conclusion. Not only does this article support the hypothesis, it mentioned areas not considered at the start of the research. The final journal to be reviewed is titled Academic Administrator Leadership Styles and the Impact on the Faculty Job Satisfaction. This journal is focused within a university work environment and the effects the leadership has upon their employees. The information in this journal again does not relate directly to the hypothesis of the retail sector, but does cover key aspects to add crucial literature to the analysis. This journal is relevantly recent, published in 2014, so still current enough not to contain dated information. This article analyses the impact of some management styles as a factor of job satisfaction within a university. This was completed by the author by conducting a survey of 104 university employees. The survey as primary research is becoming a recurring theme for the literature review, staying in line with the planned primary research for this own investigation, providing information that it produces the best results overall. The journal emphasises the importance of retaining satisfied employees within the workplace, as satisfied employees are more productive within their role. Analysing the data collected through the research presents a second recurring theme of how beneficial the transformational style is within the work environment, and how transactional does not create the same successful satisfaction of employees. This journal goes into more depth and recommends that transformational leaders already in the organisation should retrain other management without this quality to lead in the style to provide overall satisfaction of employees within the university. Even though this article does not associate with the retail market, it still provides a key information in understanding the hypothesis, and this journal provides the information it follows in line with other articles showing how management styles do have a major impact upon employee satisfaction and how important it is to have a successful management style. After reading the literature, a recurring theme was apparent in the results. A lot of articles, a transformational management style has been seen to be the most effective leadership style, not only in retail, but across numerous sectors. A transformational leadership model is that managers encourage, inspire, and motivate their staff to be creative in forming a more successful company. Management can create this by introducing a solid perspective of corporate culture. Employees take ownership for their own specific role within the company and have a feeling of independence in the work environment. After seeing this theme, it relates to a historical motivational theory used for years to help create employee satisfaction within the workplace. Maslow's hierarchy of needs can be seen to run side by side with the transformational leadership style. Both work on motivate employees within the workplace to keep them satisfied in the work environment. Maslow's hierarchy of needs relates to 5 different levels. Starting at the bottom, it begins with psychological needs, safety needs, love and belonging, esteem, and finally self-actualization. The bottom level of the pyramid consists of ultimately the most basic needs, while it works its way up to the more complex of needs. Once each tier has been met, that's when the management can focus on providing the next level. This theory focuses on the most basic well-being needs and works its way up to completing the more advanced morale, motivational, and well-being needs. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is usually in a work environment usually put into a work environment to understand how the management can increase employee motivation and analyse if their needs are reached. If the needs are met within the business, this plays a huge part in satisfying employees' well-being as well as morale and motivation. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is primarily a motivational theory to be applied to employees to increase overall satisfaction. Once analysing the theory as a whole, it can be used not only to boost motivation, but as previously mentioned, can provide that overall job satisfaction. These 3 aspects, morale, motivation, and well-being, are all linked under employee satisfaction within the workplace. Analysing the model and theories apparent throughout the literature, it gives a wider scope that can be conducted within the methodology and primary research. This model and theory could potentially be incorporated into the survey and interview to create a solid structure and produce more technical results in testing the hypothesis. Next section is the methodology. The research being conducted will be structured around Saunders' research onion. An interpretivist philosophy will be followed throughout. Interpretivism relates to the qualitative methodology and involves a research and a human subject, which can be a survey or an interview. This philosophy will interpret each individual's experiences in a different way and understand why they act the way they do. The strategy being followed is a survey in conjunction with an interview. The multi-method combination has been chosen as using 2 methods of qualitative research, and this will help to gain the best results in the conclusion of the project. The survey was selected strategy as this investigation is focusing on a Dumfries branch of the retail store. The survey is an important method of primary research as it will add so much depth in coming to the conclusion of the hypothesis, as receiving first-hand responses from retail workers on how they feel the management styles impact upon their satisfaction within the workplace. The sample for the survey will be non-probability selection, as not random, and the population is all of the employees within the Dumfries store. A selection of the 2.9 million retail workers in the UK could have been sampled, but as this investigation is focusing primarily on the Dumfries store only, their employees are going to be the population. The survey will be administered through the store's communication application, Microsoft Teams, with employees volunteering to participate. It is convenient for staff to complete this as an application used almost daily by employees, and the survey will not take up a lot of time. Management will be fully aware of the survey being taking place and why it is being conducted. Employees will be able to opt out of the survey at any moment and will have the option to respond to some questions with "I would prefer not to comment," even though it is voluntary, a 90% response rate, so 72 employees would be able to gain the solid responses hoped throughout this research. The other strategy is an interview. Not only is a survey beneficial, but conducting an interview with the retail store manager will give a wider scope on the issue and will allow to compare responses. In the comparison, thematic coding will be used to help understand the recurring themes apparent in both responses. The interview will be semi-structured to allow interviewees to express their personal and real responses on the issue while still having some structure to it. The comparison of the responses will be very beneficial in testing the hypothesis, as it will have each side's management and employees' overall opinion and truly analyse the hypothesis. During this global pandemic, it creates more issues while conducting primary research. Now, face-to-face interviews have to follow strict social distancing guidelines. For this to happen, the interview will be carried out in a spacious, well-ventilated office with masks worn at all times. Also, the project will be cross-sectional time horizon, as deadlines do play a major part in this. Finally, work to date. The literature review can be said is one of the largest and most complex pieces of work to carry out throughout this investigation, primarily because of the sheer size of the articles and the time it takes to research and read them, so it will be important to spend a lot of time completing this section. Numerous academic journals have been read, some disregarded, and some found to be very beneficial in analysing the research around the hypothesis. This is one of the largest pieces of work completed to date, started to read and understand the literature around the chosen area and provides some different aspects to look at when completing methodology section. Management have been informed of the pending interview in the near future and have agreed to participate in this. They fully understand what it is about and why it is being completed. Finally, a draft of the interview questions and survey questions have begun to make sure the section is not being rushed and everything is covered and asked perfectly. Thank you for listening, and I'd be happy to take any questions.